Saul Canelo Alvarez is one of the best boxers of his time. It's no secret that his boxing is brilliant, and he has demonstrated his class and superiority time and time again. But there were boxers who didn't recognize his achievements and saw him just as an ordinary boxer who doesn't amount to much.
Don't get paid.
Get comfortable and let's see how Canelo punished arrogant opponents and proved his mastery through action. Let's go. Number 1. Saul Alvarez and Amir Khan. After the fights with Gennady Golovkin, the Mexican's promoter signed a contract for a fight with the Olympic silver medalist and former champion in 3 weight classes, Amir Khan, whom some boxing experts considered the favorite in the confirmation with the star boxer from Mexico. The British fighter was distinguished by fantastic hand speed, mastery of technique, and polished footwork. This fight was quite interesting for viewers because Canelo had never before encountered such fantastic speed.
What do you think about the Canelo fight? I said, I need a couple of days to maybe, just think about it. And when I watched a few fights, I thought, you know what, this is a fight for me. This is a fight I can win. And with the skills I have, the speed I have, and the power that I'm going to be keeping instead of killing myself making weight, I really believe you guys are going to see something different this fight.
Arriba de un cuadrilátero nada es fácil. Ningún oponente es fácil. No, arriba de un ring no sabes lo que puede suceder. Cualquier rival es difícil.
Saul was aware of the risks and approached this fight with full commitment. Amir assured fans that he knew how to approach the famed Mexican style. The aura of Canelo's invincibility was dissolving before their eyes. The audience could not wait for the day of the fight, a confrontation of power versus speed. Amir started the fight confidently and led with an advantage in the early rounds. However, Canelo consciously gave up the rounds and didn't force the pace to adapt as quickly as possible to the opponent's complex style and find the key to the coveted victory. Khan tried to stay in rhythm and constantly pushed the pace, which affected his cardio and endurance. Alvarez was in no hurry to invest in punches and gradually prepared that one punch that would decide the outcome of the fight. From Canelo's style, it was clear that he was charging the gun for the shot but was not rushing to fire. Number 2. Saul Alvarez and Billy Joe Saunders. The next well-known opponent on the Mexicans list became none other than Tyson Fury's protege, Billy Joe Saunders. The Briton had a clean record of 30 wins, was inducted into the British Boxing Hall of Fame, was a lineal champion, and ranked 3rd among the world's best middleweights. The Briton shocked the boxing world with his footwork, timing, and speed. He was much faster than his previous opponents, which allowed him to win fights with little effort. The aura of being the heir to the Gypsy throne only added to his confidence.
A lot of Gypsy magic in the air. Billy Joe's on form, he's looking in great shape. Best I've ever seen him. There's going to be a real good fight on tomorrow night. Cannot wait.
And Saunders himself arrived at their first meeting in a royal robe, emphasizing his delusions of grandeur.
We are the Gypsy, different. The Gypsy. The Mexican. We know. You had loads of people.
I've been boxing all my life. I've been boxing since I've been 5 years old, been dragged up on the gypsy camps. We can all have the rough, tough talk growing up as kids, but I'm here for a reason, and there's no other reason for me to be here apart from win.
And at the final weigh-in, Billy raised his finger high in a sign of his superiority, demonstrating his confidence.
It all goes down tomorrow night. A little over 24 hours to go.
From the first seconds of the fight, the Briton skillfully moved around the ring and parried the attacks of the Mexican. At first glance, it seemed that Saunders had the key to Canelo's brutal rhythm and pace. He skillfully counterattacked, his quick flurry reached its target, and Billy himself took no significant damage and looked quite fresh and promising, while Saul appeared slightly confused and puzzled. For the first time, his defense was not so impeccable, and his attacking moves did not yield results. Saunders boxed beautifully and technically felt the distance, and seemed to have found the rhythm that would allow him to defeat the famous Mexican. However, Saul was not ready to lose and decided to take a risk. He missed quite a lot for himself, but also inflicted significant damage on his opponent. He emerged victorious in the exchanges, and after the midpoint of the fight, completely pressed the fast Briton against the ropes and took away his space. 8th round, blood started flowing from Saunders' eyes, and the doctor examined the boxer and did not allow him to continue the fight due to a fractured orbital bone. Because of such an injury, Billy Joe did not make it to the 9th round, and Canelo defeated the renowned opponent, handing him the first loss of his career and destroying the aura of invincibility of the heir to the Gypsy throne. Saul shattered the British fighter's mental health, as he has not boxed for over 2 years, gives no interviews, and rarely appears in public. Number 3. Saul Alvarez and Caleb Plant. On the night of the 7th in Las Vegas, a boxing event took place, the main event of which was the champion for the WBC, WBO, WBA, and IBF super middleweight belt between Saul Alvarez and Caleb Plant. This fight was for the title of the undisputed world champion in the middleweight division, and a certain intrigue. Caleb Plant, who had recently risen to the top of his division, although an underdog, many experts gave him a better chance against the famous Mexican. Caleb didn't see Saul as to be considered as an equal, and thus publicly treated this fight as a mere formal unification of the belts, showed disrespect, and failed to recognize the merits of his competitor. A public brawl broke out between the boxers at the press conference, which further fueled the interest in the fight not only among boxing fans, but also among sports enthusiasts in general.
That you don't believe me. You said he was going to dog walk me, and what happened? He got his ass dog walked.
This incident further heated the fans' interest in the fight, and Caleb bit off more than he could chew.
Saturday night, you got your first undisputed champ, and his name is Caleb Plant. Listos pelos chingazos! Listos pelos chingazos!
I don't need to say anything. It's time. So he will feel something different. Believe me.
Following the genre's conventions, Plant paid no attention to the bookmaker's opinion and his opponent's significantly superiority in class. The boxers emphasized that there was already personal animosity between them.
The Mexicans don't fuck around. Well, that's good to know, because where I'm from, we don't fuck around neither.
Plant outworked Canelo well, so at the start of the fight, the advantage was on the American side. He did everything that was necessary, and Alvarez couldn't close the distance for his punches. Plant outpaced him with a jab at the slightest sign of danger, and thanks to speed and reaction, Caleb prolonged his life in the ring. He moved excellently and caused troubles for Alvarez. At last, he was able to inconvenience him for a little bit, and the American made a fight that could not be called a gift for Canelo. Closer to the midpoint of the fight, Plant's energy-intensive boxing began to take its toll. Alvarez acted much more economically, so by the 6th round, the difference in overall physical readiness became apparent. The main difference between Canelo and Plant was the readiness to become the undisputed world champion. Caleb lacked it, while Saul only confirmed his intentions, which he entered the fight. Paul expended a lot of energy in the beginning, but it couldn't have been any other way today. Caleb tried, and even Canelo mentioned it after the fight. Plant's victory lies in the fact that he did not give Canelo an easy walk.
Uses the uppercut there to get this straight jab.
Canelo getting to build momentum as expected. This is when Canelo really starts to cook. Lead left hook upstairs by Canelo.
Saul tried to provoke Plant into an active work and even backed him into a corner, but didn't wait for the opponent's focused attacks. The boxers even exchanged a couple of phases.
Pretty good. Not pretty good? Yeah, pretty good. That's a good fight right there. I like it. I respect your skills. You know, pretty good for 21-0, huh?
In the 9th round, Caleb delivered a splendid flurry and ended the round with a clean jab, but it was just an episode. In the 10th round, Alvarez returned everything back to its course, and by the 11th, it was all over. With a barely noticeable and short punch, Saul sent his opponent into a heavy knockdown. The brave opponent got up, indicating he was ready to continue, but it was visible that he was shocked. If it was this visible from TV screens, then Canelo felt it with every cell of his body. The Mexican immediately turned up the speed to maximum and easily finished off the stunned opponent. The American, who had left it all in the ring, collapsed. The referee declared an early victory for Alvarez. Immediately after the fight ended, the boxers showed respect to each other and became friends, forgetting their personal grievances.
Dad, don't be ashamed. You are a great fighter, man. And I'm sorry for everything. At the end of the day, we are men. And we are human. I'm sorry for everything, my friend.
I tell you something? When I said I would never talk about because I don't have to. My mom died.
Number 4. Saul Alvarez and Jermell Charlo. This fight was highly anticipated as it was featuring two undisputed world champs, Saul Alvarez and Jermell Charlo. At stake were the WBA Super, WBC, WBO, IBF, and the Ring Super Middleweight belts, all owned by the Mexican fighter. Canelo approached the fight following two less confident victories over Gennady Golovkin and John Ryder amidst rumors of a decline. Many experts believe that Alvarez was past his prime and far from his best condition. Charlo himself was confident he would knock out Canelo and end his career.
You don't, brother. You don't know. You don't experience this kind of level of fight. You will see, and you will learn.
You had a great opportunity, and you have fought.
You will see.
You fought some of the best in the world. That's cool.
Yeah.
We know.
Yeah.
I understand that. Everybody in the world knows you fought the best fighters in the world.
You have a lot of skills, but I don't mind on that. You have a lot of skills. But
you do too. You got some skills.
This is different, and you will see.
Cause I'm ready for whatever. I'm over. I am.
Just tune in, because it's gonna be a great fight. And I don't know what animal I need to say to be the lion, but whatever. I'm that animal.
Charlo clearly underestimated the skills and achievements of the Mexican. At the final weigh-in, he made bold statements that filled the hearts of Canelo's detractors with hope that the throne of the Mexican king would be overthrown.
Hey, it's time to fight. Let's get ready. We're bringing this to Las Vegas. Lions only. It don't matter how they hype them up. They got it popping in here. I love it. I enjoy it. I do this for us, baby. I do this for that culture that they talk about. I do this for the culture that they hate on. Hey, it's time. I'm a bad.
The fight began with the traditional scouting and attempts by the opponents to find their distance. Canelo looked better, while Charlo did not rush to force the action. In the early rounds, Alvarez was significantly more active and outpunched him. The American boxer focused on movement and seemed to just aim to make it to the second half of the fight. The problem was that Charlo allowed Canelo too much, and the latter took advantage and calmly claimed the round after round. Despite this, it's fair to say that the Mexican acted quite monotonously, but his punches were more powerful. But when it just seemed that Jermell had adapted and even won a round ready to compete, Alvarez stepped up and delivered heavy punches. In the 7th round, Saul even sent his opponent to the canvas. The American continued this fight, but it no longer smelled of competition. Canelo powerfully invested his punches and methodically destroyed Charlo. Against such an aggressive champion, Jermell was completely lost, and for every good hit, he received a barrage of heavy shots in return. This forced the challenger to often retreat into the ropes and resort to clinching, as he frequently found no other argument. Canelo nullified Charlo's tactics and didn't allow him to truly engage towards the end of the fight. While the Mexican couldn't secure a knockout, the judges were unanimous. Canelo confidently won by unanimous decision and defended his title against the undisputed world champion in the super middleweight division. It was a truly dominating performance from Saul, who surpassed his opponent in all aspects. It had been a long time since the Mexican had showed such confident fights.